this cast, shall we? So, we will be moving into the finals with BBI Ian versus Coercer. And we will be starting off in Clash Teeth. So we have BBI Ian in purple and yellow as Coalition versus Coercer in his red and white Galcian. Again, Clash, very aggressive map, a lot of early aggression to be expected here, all due to the short distance between the spawns. And again, as we saw in a previous match on this map, one side definitely has a better position to work from outside of their base. Again, I think it's going to be Coercer in this particular match. But we shall see how it goes. Ian focusing on RUs out the gate. Now, I'm hoping that he's going to be very on ball with spending that RU, because he's been building up a lot of RU bank in some of these matches, which is quite concerning. In the meantime, we have Coercer to the north, focusing on those CUs out the gate, and getting a scanner up in mid, so he's going to know what's going on. Probably going to be on the lookout for AAV rush, which I'm hoping Ian will be able to pull off correctly this game. Let's get the production tab up. So you can see Coercer still building his salvages, getting that expansion up very quickly. But Ian is not, which seems very strange to me. Again, I don't know if he's just really out of practice, but again, it does also seem to be down to the fact that he wants to get those AAVs out very quickly. So I would like to see him sneak out at least one salvage to go here with the resources he's got there. But yeah. And there's that salvage he's trying to sneak one out before AAVs are done. But trying to be a lot quicker on the ball here. He's managed to get his drops just perfect, so he's got the those tech rolling as quickly as he could. So we shall see if that pays off for him or not. Going to be a little bit before we see what Coercer is teched into. Considering he may full well be going for assault ships. Meanwhile, Ian is building his first AAV. Ian is also set up for his first extraction, but he's going for the long one. We'll see if that pays off, and obviously Coercer knows all about it. Able to see that base run there.
Armored assault operational.
We'll have to see what Coercer has planned himself. Still no sign of tech coming up. No rails, no assault ships. Meanwhile, Coercer running what looks to be an extremely greedy build. He's going for his third, which also looks like he does indeed have refinery right off the bat, which he definitely does. That may come back and bite him.
Armored assault operational. Enemy contacts on the board.
Because he now needs to survive this rush, and he has nothing. So no tech come up yet. He has one skimmer. He knows AAV is coming. What's he going to do about it? I mean, I think his best bet is to just... No, don't run that way. Would be to run to his third, because there's no way his opponent is going to presume he already has refinery. So what I would do is just move on to third, focus my mining there just to minimise the amount of disruption that these guys can do. He has gotten power level 1 though, so he is instead focusing on just using the carrier to fight this off. And that is rail tech. So rail tech has come online, and he is getting a heavy rail, but it looks like what's just going to happen here is there will be an AAV on top of it immediately, and it will be shut down quite quickly with this focus fire. In the meantime, Ian doing some grievous damage to Coercer's main. One AAV is about to go down, 1.5 health, but we've got another one coming in here with full health. I'd like to see more of them rolling in, to be honest. There's no reason to stop. Ian sat on quite a large bank. Should really be researching rails as a follow-up here, or just getting a bit greedy. Yeah, so yeah, wouldn't have worked out because Ian is coming over here to check. Meanwhile, he has indeed secured this. Well, if we said no, it would have been fine because he would have had 2 heavy rails here. Would have prevented this AV from really being a continued threat. with a fair amount of damage done, and he knows that Coercer is going for a very greedy build. It is a shame he didn't manage to knock out all of the RU salvages. He is aware that there were salvages on third though, and he looks as if he's going to mop those up, which is very good for him right now. Meanwhile, there are still those heavy rails rolling around, trying to save the salvages, which looks like it's going to happen. The AV just not quite targeting properly, and smoke goes down though just in time, so that AAV is going to camp out over here and make it a little bit harder for that to go back up. But Coercer definitely with the eco advantage right now due to having resaturated his main. He's still got, he's kept up the expansion, and he's going to be able to get this back up just as soon as this 82 health AAV gets knocked down. Meanwhile, although Ian has been sat on a fair amount of resources, it has gone into tech as opposed to eco, so we'll see how that pans out for him. But the initial aggression has been good, has done a fair amount of damage, but no real follow-up on it, which is going to give Coercer the points to come back from this. Yeah. LIV over here just scouting to see how Coercer is doing. Meanwhile, there are these rails out in the field, which is going to make the AAVs quite weak. They still don't have armor, so if Ian is able to get on top of them, he'll be able to do quite a lot of damage. And for me, strike fights, there are 2 strike fights going up. They should be able to do quite considerable damage to these rails and quite quickly mop those up. And there is no counter to them on the field currently, and it takes a long time for this to happen as well. So these rails are going to suffer some pretty harsh damage in the meantime. Again, worryingly, no. Right, I was worried that Ian had invested in some more power upgrades, but obviously it's not set research there, and he has picked up 2 artifacts. Feels like Ian missing out on some good damage there, but there is a missile ship up already. So nice one there from Coercer, taking advantage of the extra eco to just get counters and be ready to protect his railguns. Again, kind of why I feel like teching air was a pretty bad choice. Should have tried to maintain that ground pressure, outnumber his opponent, and really do damage, hammer at home. But in the meantime, Ian is trying to get his own eco up, but he is quite far behind now. Like I say, he needs to take his third as quickly as possible to try and get the edge back. In the meantime, the rails come round and clear off that AAV. So, yep, those salvages now heading back round to get back on the resourcing. And I'd say that the ball is definitely in Coercer's court right now. He could definitely start taking some map control, doing some damage of his own, putting on the pressure, simply due to the fact that he saw the air. He's already got counter to air, and I mean, that's a big investment. I believe that's 450 CUs and then 200 RUs, as well as all the RUs invested in the actual units. And do we have any? We do have armor 1 now for those rails, and I'd like to see armor 2, simply due to the amount of RUs that have been invested in that air tech. Just put it into these ground units, get those ground units pushing out, and just put on a lot of pressure. And you can see right now that Ian is going for that expansion, so now is definitely the time.
Move up and be on alert. Roger that. Coordinates confirmed.
No, it's Ian definitely showing similar issues to what I used to do, wherein there would be that initial pressure, and then I'd want to try and get the eco up to match my opponents. But by that point, you're already so far behind. What you really need to be doing is investing to keep punishing your opponent's investment in eco, so you can just keep on them and just hammer it home. But not always possible to make the right decisions when you've got so little time to decide. In the meantime, this skimmer now going down. I don't think it's done any real damage. It might have gotten one salvage it? No, it doesn't look like it, simply due to the healing of this support cruiser. A little bit of damage was put on the support cruisers, then come over here to try and harass here. And, oh dear. Idle salvager. Another of my habits. Again, you just end up being a little bit too busy. Don't really have time to be keeping everything in order. Let's see here.
Base runner in service.
In the meantime, Ian investing in getting his LAVs up, but I don't think that's going to work out because he's not got enough of them right now, and between the carrier and those assault rails, he has very little room to work with. I do find it strange that Coercer's gone into assault ships. I do feel like fully upgraded assault railguns will give you the same functionality on a more mobile unit. But again, maybe he just wants assault ships for their sheer durability and so that he can put armor upgrades into his missiles. We shall see.
Coordinates confirmed. Proceed to rally point. Secure location marked.
Coercer definitely dominating this game right now. Still ahead economically by the looks of things, although he has not fully saturated his third. Yeah, it looks like Coercer now wants to go for those artifact pickups. Grab a couple of those artifacts and really put on the pressure. These assault ships in the meantime getting caught out. They've got no armor upgrades, so they are taking quite a bit of damage from these armored assaults and air coming down on top of them. So not really the best of choices there. Quite an unfortunate waste, and AA cover is far away. I would like to see both of these move up, so just one behind here, one behind there, and then with the AA upgrade for the increased range and accuracy, just range, just to punish and lock down these air units. What are we seeing here? 3 railguns here against rails which are far away. I suppose he's worried about attack around this flank, or I suppose, yep, he wants to hit this flank, fair enough. So lure all of Ian's forces up to here, meanwhile he's going to hit. So it looks like it's going to be a two-pronged attack, and he's going to be able to clear out main, which is going to be very favourable for him. Meanwhile, everything of Ian's is already down here, far from where it needs to be. So Coercer are going to take the very useful bit of damage done here. However, both turrets have just gone down and have not been focused down, so they're going to have very serious impact here. All the focus fire is going into this support cruiser, and these units are going badly blocked. That is a very real shame there. There was potential for a lot of damage there, but again, did not focus those turrets. Those turrets have now done a lot of damage, and the strike fighters have also managed to take down most of that air. It has pulled off a lot of Ian's forces though, so he's kind of taking a whole lot of damage. Rails moved up here. Are they going to be focused down next? Yep. Focus fire shifting over to those rails. Plus trying to do as much damage as he can there. One goes down. Will that be 2? 2 rails go down. Continue to pile on the pressure here. Ian striking back with a couple of railguns, quite nicely picking off that heavy rail that had been hitting the main line. Just a shame here that it's pretty much... So 3 salvagers did go down from that attack. But again, there's now 2 turrets they're blocking the way, which are completely unharmed. In the meantime, battle in the middle between the carriers. Those supporting railguns make a hell of a difference. I don't think that these base ones are going to be allowed to get through either. Quite strange how few units are up for Coercer right now. Does he not have it? No, he's got a massive resource bank. He's just been so busy being doing micro and trying to do these assaults. Both of these base ones are going to go down before they drop off. And yeah, Coercer needs to get out of there right now. He needs to put all of those resources he's got banked to use and roll out a nice army. And one goes in. And looks like Coercer's carrier is now going to book it out of there. He needs to get that missile ship somewhere safe. He needs to keep his AA cover up, otherwise those strike fighters are going to punish him quite badly. Although all of them seem to have gone down at this point, so missile ship drops, and we know strike fighters to exploit the situation. It's just a case of Coercer getting that production rolling, taking advantage of that huge resource bank he's got, and really put the pressure back on. So yeah, Coercer, great game plan, but just lack of forces to back it up allowed Ian's smaller force to really take the fight and put pressure on.
Enemy light attack vehicle marked on the road. Base runner is on red. Alert that area. Taking hostile fire.
Whew, my apologies.
We're clear to move and engage.
In the meantime,
Go ahead.
again, I presume those turrets being dropped. Yeah, so Ian is just dropping turrets every opportunity because he's consistently gotten value out of them. Is that a complete lack of focus? That's a complete lack of focus fire. So those two turrets are now there, and those skins are dead skins. Yeah, just these turrets just do so much work right now for Ian. Just yeah, strange enough, there's two turrets there from before, so you literally just back yourself into a corner. In the meantime, Coercer's freshly built forces here, helping to push back. Ian's pushing the middle. Those heavy rails getting a good amount of damage on, but left out of range, so we're able to follow through, which is a shame. And Interceptor's coming up, and there is a complete lack of AA by the looks of things. So Ian's going to take steady damage from these Interceptors. Would be nice if the Interceptors were used actually to clear those turrets. Definitely a perfect counter there. Yeah. You know, there is an AA turret going up in mid, but it should be very easy for Coercer to just snipe that down with the carrier. Please no.
Railgun online. New coordinates verified. Armored assault operational.
But why not?
Carrier is taking fire.
Right. Where are we looking at for resources? So again, Coercer with this massive bank. There is nothing preventing him from just mass producing units. However, in the meantime, that is a cruise missile. That is painful. That said, with that cruise missile having been dropped, this carrier is incredibly vulnerable, and has just walked into a line of 4 heavy rails. We won't discuss how many heavy rails that Coercer could have right now, but it is a lot. Meanwhile, Ian is also pop locked, cannot actually produce additional units right now. So this is looking very dicey for Ian. If Coercer just converts that massive pool of resources he's got, he can put out an incredible amount of force. But in the meantime, he's just focusing on taking good fights and getting these rails down. I really want to see more rails. I want to see these rails pushing up as well, getting positions here. In the meantime, it looks like we have Interceptors coming in. There is no support cruiser AA either, so these Interceptors in a position to do a lot of damage very easily. They could even possibly take out all of those turrets. But looking like Coercer just wants to put the pressure on the economy. The problem is, the longer this goes on, like, keep in mind, Ian's cruise missile isn't going to be on cooldown forever, and that could put another huge dent in that Galcian carrier. Missile batteries up and do take out one of those Interceptors, 2 of those Interceptors. Another Interceptor goes down as well. So got a bit greedy, went a bit too far over, lost it to the AA turrets, lost it to the missile batteries. I think he should have focused on getting rid of these turrets. open up that back line there for harassment. But in the meantime, these are just
Okay, time to roll.
Railgun online.
damage.
Base runner is en route.
Ian losing a base runner there. I'd like to see a lot more rails. The problem with a lot more rails is that there's a cruise missile that's available, which will immediately wipe them. Although Ian is a bit poor at the moment.
Railgun down. A railgun is taking effective fire.
Good grief. Coercer just in such a dominant position right now. I'm just not sure he realizes how much of an advantage he has.
Strike craft down.
We have insufficient CUs. Artifact position locked in.
But-
Secure it.
That said, units killed, like Ian, just huge advantage. 6,000 more CUs worth of units killed. And again, similar picture in the RUs. Jeez.
Railgun operational.
Armored vehicle is taking fire.
Coercer is just not putting out an effective force and not...
Red alert.
He's wasting all the units. So he's got this massive economy advantage. He's just not using it.
Let's clear out. Be ready. Hostile detected. Visual unconfirmed. Get moving. Hostile railgun. Opened up.
Now, I presume there's going to be a cruise missile coming out here shortly.
Contact. Enemy armor. Bearing designated. Ready to carry. We're advancing.
Come on, you need to be taking out railguns on that hill. What are the points like on these railguns? They should be... Oh, they should be at least level 2, but and that's going to be... he's going to hit the carrier as well. Not much damage on the carrier at least, but...
75%.
Is this going to be game? Coercer is about to lose while having 3k of banked CUs.
Armor systems inoperative.
Again, because he's been investing in air, he's got all these CUs to spend though. Why?
Put rounds on anything that
Weapon systems are at
Get
max
assault
power.
rails, get heavy rails. You know your enemy's got a lot of AA. You can't just keep pumping out air for the sake of pumping out air. I think that's gonna be it.
Warning. Carrier hull is
Bam, 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 and
Advised.
pow.
Hostile forces have dropped an
Punished.
artifact. Energy signature confirmed. An artifact has been discovered.
Just,
mission success. All ships reformed. Command carrier. Great job.
I don't know. Doesn't really matter. I mean, you can just have a better opener, have more eco, stop the AAV rush properly. If you're not going to spend resources, you're just... Yeah. And again, not acknowledging the counters. You know, there's 2 AA turrets up. There's at least 2 missile batteries up. And he could have had far more ground presence there. Yeah, unfortunate there, Coercer. But well played, Ian. Even from behind, just, you know, taking those fights, punishing Coercer's plays, and just being in control. The turrets, like, the amount of value he got from those turrets was disgusting. Yeah. Yep. And so from there we will move on to game 2 on Torring Crater. And while that loads up, if you will excuse me. And I'm back. And we are here in the south with Coercer, rocking the white and green. Good grief, there is no green anywhere. There's green health bars. That's distinctly red. And in the north, we have Ian. Ian, he is purple and yellow coalition. So, yeah, that game one, very strange. Coercer making some very peculiar calls on his tech. He went into assault ships, built about 2-3 assault ships, and then didn't build any more. He did go into air eventually, but he had a massive CU bank to spend, which just didn't use. He was in a position to build a lot of railguns, just chose not to. It's possible he was just that worried about cruise missile, he didn't want to have too many rails. But either way, distinctly advantageous economically, definitely had more income, but just didn't use it, didn't leverage that advantage, and it came back to bite him in the backside. So, in the meantime, just I'd say outplaying his opponents. His play's been quite strange as well. He's banked a lot of RUs at times, but overall just coming out on top, making better plays, and just making better overall decisions. No, we shall see. We shall see what Coerce's plan is this game. What is he attacking currently? Again, very greedy, going for that refinery mode. Apparently does not care about the concept of AAV rush. Even on the map like Kalash, he pulled this, so I don't know. We'll see. We'll see. One thing that could be very punishing here is that if Ian were to go with a very heavy LAV rush, he would be able to do a hell of a lot of damage. Because Coerce wouldn't be able to produce enough skimmers to really fight it off. And even if he were to produce, say, assault ships, he would be using them defensively, and those LAVs could actually do a fair amount of damage to those assault ships. So, yeah. And if it were a rail open instead, then you could just call it GG, because those LAVs would just be there shooting the railguns as they come out. In the meantime, though, assault ships on the way, but so are 2 AAVs, and there is a complete lack of defense at the moment.
Light attack vehicle online.
Salvager is in contact.
Okay. Like, I realise that Power 1 is quite a good reactive play at times, but to 1 LAV shouldn't really be the choice. That's power. That's, you know, RUs you want to be putting into other things. I suppose, yeah, he has a pop cap, so he does need to invest in that. Again, this very greedy play. I mean, it seems like the concept is, well, I have so much economy in the first place, even if I lose main, I'm okay. By the time they've cleared main, I've got my counter out. I'm able to clear it. On the other hand, Ian is not pushing in. Why? The sooner these are on this line, the more damage they're going to be able to do. So that's just put him a little bit behind there.
Enemy armor inbound. Defense carrier in contact.
Those AAVs finally moving in. Start hitting the line. They're taking damage. There is some armor upgrades on them. Should be able to get at least 1 RU. Yeah, 1 RU Salvager. Going to go through and get the CU Salvager as they pass through. So those are both carrying quite a few resources as well, so you know, good targets to have picked up. Is he going to get some on his way past? Yes, he is, and that's carrying what, at least another 10 RUs as well. So, yeah, some very good damage here from Ian. And again, there's the LAV in there as well, picking some off from that 3rd expansion. So, a lot of damage done. These assault ships are out, but they're not really in a position to get hits in. Due to the fact that it's 80 speed versus 70 speed. Smoke going down. Ian looking to just back these out, get them away with the veterans here on them, which is giving them an extra 10% damage. Not to be sniffed at. But will they be able to get away is the question. This one's pretty much safe and clear. Really, this one surviving or not comes down to the focus fire, so now there's the fire coming down in there. Do either of these have smoke up available? No. Only one still in range. It's really very close. Oh, and that one goes down. That was probably about the last shot that was going to go down on that AAV as well. Meantime, Ian cleaning up a skimmer on this flank. Doesn't want it scouting or harassing him. And picking up 2 artifacts. He needs to get those deposited as quickly as possible before those assault ships can get in position to be a pest. But it doesn't seem like he sees it that way. He wants to make sure he's got escorts. In another wave of assault ships coming out, and they're moving into position to try and harass Ian's expansions. And it's a very good position to attack from here. Got this nice set of dunes here which give him cover, so he's got a position from which to hunker down, come out, harass here and be safe. So it makes it quite difficult for rails to come and get him. They're forced to come out this way and hit from this angle. So again, it's possible for Coerce to just sit some assault ships here as well to punish any attempts to kind of come and get his flank. And they then have this dune to work with if they need to back off.
Artifact detected. Secured all costs.
So yes,
Research concluded.
we shall see how that plays out though. In the meantime, what have we got tech-wise?
Armored ship rendered.
Air is on the way, but nothing has been built yet. He's again expanding his fleet size. I expect we'll see afterburners come out shortly after the first Interceptor is building.
Defense alert. Enemy armor inbound.
And yeah, so these assault ships end up being perfectly timed to prevent this expansion from being worthwhile to Ian. He's just spent like 50 CUs on that, as well as the 200 CUs on these, no, I'm saying 400 CUs on these salvages. So 450 CUs that are now not working in Ian's favour at this point in the game.
Interceptor online awaiting orders.
Armored craft under attack.
Now, I would have said really he wants to focus on bursting down those salvages, get them down quickly, and shut down this expansion as well, which looks like going to be the case. Yeah, so they've also got perfect amount of armour. They've got armour level 2, and that's going to make them very difficult for AVs to damage, and it's also going to mean they've got extra HP to be taken through. That's it. There's a railgun there now, which is going to open up this one assault ship. As you can see, taking a lot more damage now. Probably going to go down quite quickly here. Does get behind the dune, so he's not going to be hit by the railguns again, but still going to go down, I think. There's too much fire coming down on him. Down he goes. In the meantime, to the north, we've got those two assault ships. These two assault ships blocking the base runner extractions. Two assault ships here. Would be nice if they push on main. Again, get the pressure coming from the other side as well. Make it very difficult for Ian to really come together now. Unfortunately, he's going around the back here. I think this is quite open at the moment. You'll be able to get some good damage in without those rails being able to do too much. And in the meantime, Ian falling back on the old reliable spam turrets. But as you can see here, Ian quite tightly bottled in here. These assault ships getting good sort of pressure on, being all over the place, and Ian feeling, oh no, is this gonna play out the way? It's gonna play out that way, isn't it? These assault ships can do a lot of damage they shouldn't be able to do. Will they actually get the kills though? There's a lot of damage coming down on them. Again, I think he overdid that. He went too far in, but oh, these skimmers going to clean up anyway. Doesn't matter. So again, very badly damaged rails, and that's 3 rails for 2 assault ships. But these skimmers all going down, which is a shame. I do feel like if he'd held back here, forced them to come right out, could have done that damage anyway. Coming with the skimmers, backed off as well. He had these dunes here to work with, which wouldn't allow him to do a lot of damage, pull back, and heal up, or force Ian to keep having to push on him. So, again, do keep that in mind with this option. Really, the strength of them is they've got that sustain. They can go into a fight, pull a lot of damage, and then they've still got the health to sort of pull back, regen a bit, and then still be a threat going forwards. AVs in the meantime, it's better to just get them on target, do as much damage as you can, and then if you can, pull back covered by smoke. So in the meantime, these assault ships here should really be sat in this gap here. So sat here, and then as these guys come over, sit on this little ridge line here and punish. I don't even think that Coerce quite realises that terrain feature is there. Backing away from it and denying this a perfect opportunity to put some damage on and pressure on those base runners, instead allowing those 2 caps to go through. It's a real shame. But he is quite happy to just be harassing this expansion in the meantime, keeping Coerce's, Ian's economy in check.
We have insufficient
Other resources looking again. Coerce sound a fair bit bank, so I'd like to see him investing in something to take advantage of that. So, I don't know, has he upgraded skimmers?
Defense alert. Enemy armor
Not really, and
inbound.
he's going into rails, which he doesn't have the RUs for because he's running air. So again, something very important to keep in mind. The way I see it is that once you've got Gaussian air, you effectively have a unit that does the job of rails. They come in, they do these big chunks of damage. Keep in mind it's 450 damage total per volley of 3 missiles that they're throwing. 150 damage per missile and then throw them in clusters of 3. And that's perfectly respectable damage. It's not as good as railguns, but it's definitely where it needs to be as threatening as railguns.
Heretic scanner spotted.
So combining those with assault ships is perfectly fine. And then you can instead focusing on upgrading the assault ships to maximum, getting upgrades on your air, and maybe look at running siege cruisers, which will then help you deal with blobs, deal with the mass rails, or upgrading your skimmers, getting those up to raiding level 1 damage, level 1 armor is a bare minimum. Once they hit that point, they are a legitimate threat. And then you can go from there, get the armor 2 so that they're able to dive underneath carrier more reliably, or so that they're able to tank through AABs a bit more solidly, and damage level 2 so that they can start damaging through some of the armor that rails have at that point in the game, or punishing someone who has not upgraded their armor. So if we look now, so I mean, these rails only actually have armor 8. So I think, yeah. So they've got level 2, but again, they've been quite vulnerable to skimmers that are doing 19 damage.
Rally position marked.
Real good advancing.
In the meantime, looks like Ian's stabilising now. Is getting control of his territory, and Coerce is starting to get through, starting to spend his way through some of that resource. Yeah, so constantly producing. I'm guessing that's all heavy rails. So he's got, yeah, due to the lack of rails on Ian's part, that is more than enough. I would like to see him getting high ground though. Sitting in the middle of this crater is very risky, as it is quite precarious. Excuse me.
Defense alert. Hostile carrier spotted. Armored craft under attack.
Unfortunately, assault ships, at this point, you're going to need them in at least pairs when they're being repaired by either a support cruiser or a powered repair system on the carrier, simply due to the time it takes for them to get their damage through. Really find these assault ships not being so useful out in the open. I'd like to see them go off somewhere and hide a bit and regen their HP before pushing on main there.
Moving to destination.
Again, these dunes quite fortunately covering the assault ships, making it very difficult for these railguns to be effective. These dunes are a very real issue for the defender. They do block a lot of angles and allow for you to move in on that. So moving in here, he can knock out all these logistics. He can knock out the support cruiser, and these rails have to push up on him, push out to here to be able to get angles on him. And that's something I'd like to see him taking advantage of. Looks like we're going to have a big engagement here. We're definitely in a good position here. Railguns, not necessarily so much so, but I guess I'd like to see them staying back here. In the meantime, these assault ships should be pushing in. There's no reason for them to pull back, but I think he just wants to finish Ian's blobbing here. These units are not in a nasty cluster. That is better. Missile battery mortar is not in enough. The AAVs are not going to run that fight ever. So yes, through a field of orange and black smoke, we see that at the end of the day, assault ships emerge victorious, and anyone for some scrap. So now that really does leave these assault ships clear to just push through. No way that carried on anyway. So now, meanwhile, with Coerce harassing the far side with his carrier, so yeah, it's just a case of the sandwich.
Enemy sensor post destroyed.
Again, look at
Alert.
how much
Carrier
spare
is being
force
attacked.
just sat back here.
Advance
Agree,
to
Coercer,
position.
if you're going to play the macro game, you need to, at the very least, get in the habit of telling all of your forces to attack en masse. So F2 and attack
Heretic
move.
forces have lost the artifact.
Very, very useful. But this looks like game now. Completely annihilated both Ian's army and his backline. So no eco for
Carrier range
Ian here.
systems offline.
And it's just a case of whether or not Ian can snipe this carrier, which is highly unlikely with the amount of speed it's got going for it, as well as the air units it's stationing. So yeah, I'm expecting this to be over quite imminently.
Hostile carrier
So let's
detected.
just enjoy it.
Assault railgun lost. Fences.
Proceed to mark.
Move to destination. Hostile railgun eliminated.
Carrier weapon systems online. Destination locked in.
Railgun under fire.
Artifact detected. Fighter medic secured at all costs.
Grid box set. Maintain active defense alert. Interceptor taking fire. Friendly interceptor has been destroyed.
Acknowledged.
Heavy railgun destroyed.
Artifact extraction confirmed. Maintain fire superiority. Enemy lock. Weapon delay.
Course set.
Point verified.
Move to destination.
Command verified.
Armored craft has been lost. Armored craft taking fire.
We have got hidden artifact signal. Secure it.
Get us moving.
Advance on fire order. Your weapon system at full potential. Fighter heavy railgun online.
Maneuvers out.
Acknowledged. Railgun advance.
Advance.
Assault railgun in service. Adjust course and fire. Full power to weapon systems go. Commander, rally position designated.
Railgun receiving hostile fire.
Return fire. Target verified.
Coordinate.
Heavy railgun online.
Target found. Heavy railgun destroyed by enemy forces.
Interceptor inbound on target position. Fighter medic spot. Heavy railgun in service.
Alert. Carrier taking fire. Main power transfer bus facilities.
Artifact extraction team en route.
The heretics have been repelled.
And so end games 2. Yeah. Coerce just leveraging his economic advantages to just swarm and overwhelm Ian. And yeah. Quite a closing firefight. Valiantly attempted by Ian, but yes. Definitely over by that point, I'm afraid. Yeah. Yeah, I'd say that's enough of an advantage. I do suspect if I'd checked, Ian would have killed a hell of a lot more value-wise, so still very good micro on Ian's part. But let us move on to game 3 on the Shallows. Very interesting back and forth. Ian is definitely showing he has the micro advantage, while Coercer is definitely rocking more the economic build-up. I would say macro advantage, but he's not leveraging all those resources he has, whereas Ian definitely is. So Coercer's build is working out stronger, or Ian is failing to punish it early on, while
Construction units identified.
Coercer's
All
not
ships.
able to
Multiple
consistently
contractors
get those
operate
units and
within target
resources put to use to properly punish his
We're moving
opponent.
out. Spool up.
So, again, we are seeing Ian open up with the CU focus,
Salvager
which
online.
again I much prefer.
Weapon
Meanwhile,
systems online.
Coercer is also focusing CUs, so yeah. Very much more typical builds. basically, I don't do RU opens at all anymore, simply because the CU opens allow you to get your economy rolling that little bit faster, get that many more units on the field, and just generally give you more options. If you're doing a 1 production cruiser assault ship open, if you're doing a 2 production cruiser rail open, the amount of CUs you want ends up being roughly the same. So you actually always want those CU opens. Just works out better. That probe doesn't get very far. The production cruiser promptly shoots out of the sky, and it looks like yeah. So Coercer has recycled his base runner. Meanwhile, Ian going for that early artifact. Even though he's opened, so he's opened with CUs. He's not turned that into resources because he wants to get that. Again, this is something I've been proved to Descara. Descara is of the opinion the difference between getting that fast support cruiser and getting out those early salvages ends up being roughly the same anyway by, I think, the moment it makes the biggest difference, which I think you might have said for about the 5-minute mark ends up about the same. But we'll see. I just don't like opening with a support cruiser because I feel like you've already invested, whereas here you're already able to get those earlier RUs in when they matter most. And what do I know? Ian going for the furthest artifact, seeing that there is no competition for this. Does make a lot of sense because the extraction zone is about the same distance to all 3 of these. However, he is pulling back for it. There's not much of a threat. I'd rather you just rush to the extraction zone.
Defend that area with the turret.
Light attack vehicle online.
Verified. Move up and be on alert.
My apologies there. I think, yeah, so Ian was considering putting down turret. He's seen the amount of damage he's taking, he's seen there's no additional skimmers coming his way, and he's just going to try and drop as it is and just send out an LAV to punish the skimmer. So we'll see how that works out. Yeah, so Coercer immediately pulling off his skimmer. He's not interested in trying to take that fight anymore. Yeah.
Base runner responding.
Meanwhile, both players
Up and be on alert.
set on respect amount. And this would come back to with Ian, just consistently sat on quite a large amount of RUs.
Engage on site.
Going straight to air. I don't know. Seems like such a greedy build. If there was a rail rush coming, it would just be over already. Don't like it.
Proceed. Prepare for
But,
contact.
you know, Ian does. I can't really question him for that. It works for him.
Hostile production cruiser
Really what it's all about.
Take
I
it
just
out.
find it super risky. And it's just, I don't know, it's floating so much.
Light attack vehicle is under fire. Make ready.
Artifact
But yeah,
recovered.
very
Authentication
eco-heavy open.
confirmed.
No AVs. So again, if there had been a skimmer rush,
Give that
not
strike
there
breath
would be,
an
but
escort.
you know. In the meantime, yeah, this is really the difference is that,
Be advised. Hostile
see,
carrier
Ian's able to
confirmed.
casually put out sort of 4 LAVs and pressure
Coordinates confirmed.
Coercer. Coercer needs his carrier in position to be able to fend those off.
Identified RU
Um,
conducting
Strike fighter ready
Meanwhile,
for
like,
service.
with this one heavy rail, like, I presume that's the, Ian always goes for the AAVs, but that's not the case. So I suppose it's mind games on the part of Ian. He's taking advantage of what he has
carrier.
Strike
basically
fighter online. Operators, please
sort of
confirm
drilled
contact
into
area.
Coercer at this point to expect those early AAVs will always be AAVs, you should feel. And instead there's got to be a wing of strike fighters come along and snipe off that heavy
Strike
rail.
fighter ready for service.
Green line confirmed. Unknown inbound. Designating hostile.
I'd like to see more LAVs actually though, because you know, that could be another 15 LAVs.
Coordinates confirmed. Alert. Light attack vehicle destroyed. Strike craft taking effective fire.
More assault rail there, just
Enemy salvage.
decimating those LAVs there. If it had kept backing off, it would quite easily have picked this one off as well. But,
To location.
instead, the heavy round just snipes that off. That's a shame. Could have done a lot of damage there. Yeah, how many was that? No, 4 total. So 2 went down there and then 1 further up. And then there's 1 out here, I believe. There it is.
Strike fighter online.
But yeah, if there'd been, say, 4 or 5 more LAVs there, considering Ian knew he was going into strike fights, I think that could have gone really well for him. I think he would have been able to overwhelm this and put a lot of pressure and damage on. Meanwhile, Coercer, seeing there's no AAVs, has guessed at AirTech, and that guess is going to serve him well.
We require additional
Well,
logistics modules.
sitting on these 6 a bit too long there, Ian. You should have gone, I've got 6 strike fighters, I'm going to head out now. They take quite a while to launch, and that missile ship is going to come out just in time. And it's going to be sat right where you want to go and nuke, so it's a shame.
Go ahead.
Be advised.
Still,
Team en route to recover the artifact.
let's see how this plays out, shall we?
Roger that.
Light attack
Working.
vehicle online.
So at the moment, they're just idling. It would be good if they used a scout first. Keep in mind these guys have quite good vision.
Hostile carrier visually on red.
So there's that missile ship, and he's going to go all in and try and snipe it off. And that's going to work, because strike fighters can tank through one. So, this is now going to get very
Friendly
ugly.
vehicle has lost possession of an artifact.
That said, there's still the production cruiser AAs, which are picking away at those strike fighters. So,
Command carrier must be
and
additional fleet
oh
capacity
my,
deployable.
oh my.
Light attack vehicle enhancements online.
There we go. There you have it. The Vet 2 base runner, which gains +1 armor and +10 speed, that's right. And that even goes through to when it's picked up
Light attack
artifact, so it goes from being
online.
46 speed to 56. I'm wondering if that's going to matter, but you know.
Carrier out. Monitor for contact.
Light attack vehicle in service.
That's a rare sight though, that is a very rare sight.
Taking fire. Roger. Displacing now.
You do not often see a Vet 2 base runner, but they happen, they do happen. Meantime, these LAVs struggling to get on top of these rails. They do get there, and I'm hoping they're now going to start circling around and really punishing. Yep, and then there's also the air support, so these rails are not going anywhere.
Research completed.
Again, Coercer going off and getting into assault ships, but also picking up an artifact.
On our way.
I'd like to see those strike fighters just punish the assault ship choice. It's not difficult.
Line confirmed. Be advised. Hostile carrier detected.
Clean up that scanner.
Be advised. Enemy support vehicle authenticated. Return to
Let's just appreciate how fast this base runner is now. So it's as fast as an AAV by default, and that extra 10 speed, even when, once it's picked up an artifact, does give a lot more speed getting those artifacts collected. So that may, of course, that's presuming that Coercer doesn't go and get it killed now. It's entirely possible.
Salvager online. Be advised. Carrier repair systems
yes.
online.
Strike force taking effective fire. Alert. Light attack vehicle destroyed.
Now, what is going on here? Got 2
Go, go!
missile ships back here.
Get us moving. Hostile armor incoming.
Hostile forces are attempting
Base
to
runner
drop
going for
this
that pickup.
artifact. Armored assault
And
modifications
2
carried
assault
out.
ships with no interest in dealing with those
Proceed to rally
LAVs by
point.
looks of things.
Secure location monitor dialed in.
Shouldn't be too much of a problem.
Green line confirmed. Engines hot. Interceptor taking fire.
Deploying field logistics module.
Copy. Alert. LAV down. Hostile craft and AO. Maneuver for visual confirmation.
So Coercer focusing down and killing off these pesky LAVs by the looks of things.
Railgun operational.
Support cruiser under attack. Immediate fire support on that position.
Picking up more
We
artifacts.
got a railgun under fire. Move on.
Just pushing in here, just ignoring the fact that there is air, even though Ian is trying to build a lot of air. He is very heavily invested in just air units right now, which I think is to his detriment. The fact that the production cruisers are there punishing his air as well. So yeah, that one just about managed to land. Same there. So
Hostile detected. Visual unconfirmed. Confirmed.
another railgun goes down. This is looking very bad for Ian right now.
Carrier repair systems are
As
unavailable.
long as this production cruiser is sat underneath the carrier, him launching strike fighters is incredibly risky.
Alert. Support cruiser destroyed.
I don't think he's going to be able to launch them at all. Yeah, he's cancelled all of the strike fighters and instead gone over to rails, but I think it may be too little too late. Which is then going to be second game going to
Strike
Coercer.
fighter approach vector
So
dialed
2-1 in Coercer's favour by the looks of things. I don't see him coming back from this.
Alert. Railgun down. Coordinates
So those strike fighters do manage to launch, but there is a missile ship there as
strike fighter taking fire. Ready.
did the production cruiser get no? Production cruiser is still there, so
Salvager under fire. AA down there.
these strike fighters are going to die very quickly.
Hostile forces are attempting to extract an artifact.
Move the railgun. Taking effective fire. Push through. Green line confirmed.
Production cruiser does go down, but there's still 2 missile ships in. I don't think there's any strike fighters left to launch at this point.
Rally point set. Move to location.
Calcium carrier seemingly just bullying everything in his path. Pretty sure that
Railgun online.
Coercer could be putting a lot more units out to punish this as well. What is his resource bank at the moment? No, Coercer has been spending. He's got a fair amount of RUs, but he has been spending.
Vehicle is under fire.
I'm guessing it's all in his carrier right now.
Alert. Light attack vehicle destroyed.
Energy signature
Yeah.
confirmed. An artifact has been discovered.
Reposition.
Light attack vehicle in service.
Alert. Railgun down.
Hostile forces have recovered an artifact. Armor systems active.
Alert. Carrier is taking fire. Alert. LAV down. Hostile railgun. Opened up.
Fighter approach vector dialed in.
Green line confirmed.
Looks like all of those missile ships have now gone back.
Light attack vehicle online. Hostile
Strike fighters
forces
trying to
are
get up
attempting to
and
extract an artifact.
help with this fight. I think it may be far too little at this point.
Light attack vehicle in service.
Alert. Carrier hull at 50% integrity. Push through. Alert. Light attack
I'm not for lack
vehicle
of trying.
Red alert. Carrier hull at 25% integrity. Repeat. Its command carrier needs support. Charge weapon. Interceptor taking hostile fire. Rail strike craft taking effective fire. Our carrier has sustained
It is over.
damage. Mission failed. All ships fall back. Fall back.
So that makes it 2-1 to Coercer there. The air tech just really not working out for Ian. And Coercer just punishing. The moment that production cruiser got underneath the carrier, that was kind of it, because it meant that all of the tech and the investment in air was redundant at that point. And even then, the fact that that one missile ship was there, the fact that there was 2 production cruisers firing on his strike fighters while he was trying to do damage, just quickly picked away at him and just lost traction. Yeah. Air opener, very dangerous. Greedy, very dangerous. So that brings us to game 4, which is on Taidan Passage. These two going at each other, like just each bringing out different strange builds. Coercer very much focused around his carrier. He likes really putting a lot into his carrier and using that as a bit of a sledgehammer-like game. In the meantime, varies it up a bit between using his carrier and the cruise missile and using air or rail guns or lots of AAVs. We shall have to see what they each bring out for this game. Meanwhile, we have Coercer very much CU focused, and with Ian playing RU focused. So we shall see what his plan is there. As far as the map is concerned, now Passage is quite a strange one. As you can see, there's very large dunes through the middle, and the ground elevation for everywhere else does vary quite a lot. So, travelling through this area is very dangerous. But then you've got these high areas, various dunes, flat sort of high, high flat areas as well on this side. And again, it's similar situation over the other side. You've got again the dominating sort of high dunes. But then you've got this defensive dune back here, as well as sort of various high ground sections here. So that being said, one of the big differences here is that you have a high ground extraction zone for Team 2, and a low ground extraction zone for Team 1. That being said, as far as the approaches for those two, so for Team 1's extraction, they're able to pick up and they're able to get behind cover quite quickly. So they've got cover to work with, getting away from the enemy team to then make approaches towards their extraction zone, whereas the other player, they're more against the gradient, so it's more likely that Team 1 is defending here or defending here, which is blocking them off from these two extractions, and this extraction here is very open to actually get away from and then get to that extraction zone. So, yeah. So technically the problem can be is if your opponent is pushed onto this extraction zone, or pushed to cover it, they're going to have this high ground and going to kill you quite quickly, making your approach to it. But if there's a more even fight from mid, you know, it's a case that they're going to pick up that artifact and get to safety quite quickly. Whereas in the case of Team 2, if the middle is quite contested and they're able to pick up an artifact, then it's just generally quite difficult for them to get away. There's quite a few opportunities to snipe them as they go across this territory, whereas once they actually get up onto this high ground, it's very difficult to chase as they've got to come through low ground areas, so defending here is quite easy. If you've managed to lose extraction 2 as a defensive zone, then you've also lost your third, so yeah, you're quite disadvantaged at that point. But let's get back to the game itself. So, AVs. 3 AVs in fact. One skimmer out here currently for Coercer. Let's just have a quick look at tech. So we've got double production cruiser and railguns. So as long as he keeps those production cruisers somewhere safe for the moment, and then pumps out some rails, he will be able to quite nicely punish Ian's opener. Let's see. So meanwhile, in making that first extraction, and also ignore what I said about the extraction zones. I'm an idiot, so we'll just ignore that because they're in reverse positions. Dope.
Strikecraft destroyed.
That does make this extraction quite bad because your enemy's going to hold it quite easily. That way, just camping it. It's high ground. Boo-hoo. Trend's bad. That's it. That's the problem with trying to sort of analyze maps without having properly looked them over and scripted it. Make mistakes. But again, yeah, both sides have plenty of opportunities to prevent those extra. Yeah, so those rails coming out, are we looking at, yeah, they're going to be trading. So Coercer's going to really need to go all in here because he needs to smash through the AAVs. He needs to then annihilate Ian's economy. He can't stop because these 3 AAVs are not going to stop. So yeah.
Defense alert.
And if he pulls back to prevent the AAVs that are hitting his home base, he won't have an economy by the time he gets back anyway. So he's better off powering his carrier to push this off than anything else. That's a real shame. Right, just push over this hill. Push over this hill, get to here, start punishing. You can't just sit in this poor terrain, man. You can't just sit here. He's too busy microing over here, isn't he?
Defense alert.
No, he's not really doing much over here either. So he's moving forwards now, but I feel like it's a bit late. Yeah, he's just lost one of these. He's just sat underneath the carrier taking unnecessary damage. Yeah. Okay, so when using assault rails, they have 100 speed. 100 speed is really good. Move them. This railgun here is gonna die. Yeah.
Heavy railgun destroyed by enemy forces. Hostile detected. Confirmed visual. Defense alert. Production cruiser engaging the enemy. Defense alert. Cruiser under fire. Carrier online.
Didn't even get refinery this game, so yeah, it actually went for the all-in on the rails.
Defense alert.
And screwed it up because he sat underneath carrier.
Destination locked in.
Okay.
Established. Commence breakdown. Monitor rally positions designated.
Defense alert. Enemy armor
Okay.
inbound. Sand skimmer under fire.
Advance. Keep contact.
So, manages to rally up here. He's got 2 assault rails now. Manages to take out one of these AAVs. Do keep in mind that Ian's... Ooh, and the turret over there. Ian's economy is still quite functional, and he has since got 2 railguns. Triple?
Heretic forces are extracting an
What?
artifact.
Carrier online.
Yeah, why would you have got 3 of these? That doesn't make sense.
Defense alert.
Yeah, his army's
Cruiser is
wiped
in
there.
contact. Defense alert.
Yeah.
Cruiser has been engaged.
Ahead, full. Rally position designated. Rally position marked.
Hostile railgun approaching.
Yeah, game over. So yeah, it really came down to the base trades. All that Coercer really needed to do was make sure he microed his assault rails in such a way to minimise the damage he was taking from the carrier, and there was no other real threat. He would have been able to take out the support cruiser, would have been able to hit the salvagers, and just move from high ground to high ground, punishing. And would have made for an even game, but instead he sat underneath the carrier, didn't micro them, and they took just immense amounts of damage. It's a real shame. And that brings him up to 2-2. Hum 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 hum. Which brings us to Game 5, the ace match on the Boneyard. Save the best till last, I suppose. But again, I think on Coercer's side, I'd like to see him just... I mean, it's not even though... Pretty sure he'd scouted those AAVs coming in as well, so I mean he could have intercepted them with the assault rails as well and played much safer that way. Don't know. In the meantime,
All ships.
here we are,
Multiple artifact
Game
signals
5,
detected within target range.
and we have Ian going again.
Salvage array ready.
Just such an unsafe build, just so unsafe. Like, he's just...
Salvager online.
Meanwhile, Coercer focusing on those CUs, and we'll have to see what his game plan is here. So, I mean, I can only presume that this is again going very much strongly for that AV rush. Or he's going for the air rush again,
Salvager online.
which again didn't go well for him last time, so we'll just have to see where he spends those RUs. Meanwhile, going over to the production tab.
RUs identified. Advance and evaluate.
Yeah, so of course just getting those extra resources coming in as quickly as possible. Meanwhile,
We have
not expanding it.
insufficient CUs.
And again, keep in mind, Ian hasn't actually aligned his carrier at all to maximise his income. So I mean, really what he's been winning off of has been his superior micro and just much more stable plays. He's just, you know, been pulling out stuff that works.
Salvager online.
Hostile craft in AO. Maneuver for visual confirmation. We've got
But again, I would
hostile
like to see him get in the habit of just angling this carrier a bit. I mean, you can just V-move, and as long as you get the spot bout in the middle, then it'll just turn on the spot. And even if it doesn't, you can just press S, which is the stop order, and it will just immediately stop in its current position and align as you've ordered. Just make sure the orientation order has been put in properly. You can tell by a little arrow indicator
Rally point set. Move to location.
that pops up while doing the V move. Now then, each of them's got a strike craft out.
Armored assault operational.
Of course, are
Artifact
continuing to go very
authenticated.
macro style.
Team en route to recover the artifact.
He builds up these big, strong economies, but then he just doesn't seem to put them to use, which does seem a bit counterintuitive.
Proceed to rally
I don't know.
point.
I think he
Secure
needs to learn a couple
location
of hotkey bindings, like F3 and then
Armored assault
TR
online.
or
Hostile light attack vehicle
TE, I believe, are the best ones.
Coordinates confirmed.
So you go T, and then I'm pretty sure that R is for one of the railguns, and then T again would instead be assault ships. So learning either of those just to make sure you're able to spam out units, or of course there's the classic E, and just spam E to make more skimmers. Same applies for LAVs, just select the carrier and just spam E lots to make lots of LAVs. A little bit of a fight here, but neither willing to actually duke it out. LAV could have probably picked away at it for a while, but it's not looking to do that. AV's in the middle, and what is Coercer's response other than to be a massive macro?
Strike craft destroyed.
Any sign of a tech on top there? Yep, so railguns are teched. He's now building a couple of heavy railguns. Those should come out early enough, and it's just a matter of him positioning them to counter these AAVs. He should be fine. Yeah, when you think that Ian is rushing those out, admittedly this is a much bigger map, so it's not such a reliable technique. But you know, 2 heavy rails out now should be able to thwart these AAVs before they can do too much damage. Just a matter of getting the positioning right and just killing off these AAVs. One down. Would be nice to make sure he doesn't lose that, although it's going to go into our Ian's thankfully provided smoke screens, so make sure you pick up those nice RUs. Lovely. And just a matter of picking off those AAVs now. No, lovely. Meanwhile, Coercer looking to mobilise his carrier as quickly as possible, so I think that's really it. He's getting all this macro up to get as much RU in as possible so that he can just power his carrier. But I mean, he still needs to be building a supporting army. I think if he can just develop that a little bit more, be a bit more reliable on these heavy railguns, assault railguns, or even just skimmersman, I think he'd be much better off. In the meantime, Ian picking up his first artifact. And if he goes down, again, would really like to see some aggression off this, because the AAVs have not worked out for Ian. So that's three AAVs not really doing much for Ian right now. Meanwhile, you know, perfectly nasty railguns sat in mid, well, sat near mid right now, that could be moving out and doing some damage. Just a matter of getting maybe Skimmer to give vision, or sending out some base runners to throw out scanners, and just pushing in.
Railgun operational. Artifact recovered.
But definitely a window of opportunity here for Coercer right now.
Modules from the command carrier. Fleet capacity deployable out. Railgun online.
We're moving.
All these discarded chassis.
Coordinates confirmed.
Hostile forces are attempting to extract an artifact.
Green line confirmed. Time to clear out. Be ready to
Well,
engage.
scanners going down.
Coordinates confirmed.
Rally point set. Move to location.
Enemy contacts on the board.
Artifact position locked in. Secure it. Hostile forces are attempting to extract an artifact.
Charge weapons. Let's move.
Hmm.
Move and engage on site.
Railgun operational. Railgun online.
Move. Be advised. Enemy support vehicle authenticated. Clear to move and engage. Fire on the move.
Hostile forces have recovered an artifact.
Light attack vehicle is under fire. We're cleared to push up.
require additional logistics modules. Deploy one from the command carrier.
Green line confirmed. Keep eyes out for targets. Armor is en route. On our way.
Armored assault online.
Move order confirmed. Moving out. Engage targets on site. Move order confirmed. Armor vehicle taking effective fire. Enemy railgun firing on friendly. We got something on the horizon. Waiting for eyes on to authenticate.
Missile battery fabrication systems now online. Module. Fleet capacity deployable out.
Underway. New heading set.
Light attack vehicle in service.
Move order confirmed. Alert. LAV down.
Carrier production facilities upgraded.
Anyway, let's get back to actually casting this game as opposed to showing off what it looks like.
Light attack vehicle online.
Right. So, we see that Ian has built up a substantial number of railguns.
Light attack vehicle in service.
Corso does have 4 himself, as well as quite a few assault rails, but has been getting harassed over here by a couple of LAVs, which have done a fair amount of damage.
Armor, go ahead.
Missile battery
And we are seeing
operational.
2 artifact pickups for Ian and only 1 for Coercer. He has, however, been powering his carrier up.
An
What's his
artifact has been discovered.
resources looking like at the moment?
Taking effective
He is
fire.
sat on a substantial amount of resources though, so I'd like to see him at least put out a batch of skimmers to just increase his numbers. There are no upgrades for his skimmers at the moment though, so how valuable that would be is difficult to say. There are only 3 AEVs though.
Opened up. We got a railgun under fire. Clear out. Display.
It looks like Ian is just trying to fight over these artifacts at the moment. He's more concerned about getting the edge in artifact pickups. And has he been carrying his carrier? No, he has not.
Move and engage.
Again, he's very much focused on
Support
investing in
cruiser
his
now
military and picking up those artifacts,
The command carrier must
controlling the
place
field,
additional fleet
while
capacity
Quest is very
deployable.
much more in
Fleet
the
logistics
carrier
module out.
and just having a small support fleet.
Salvager
What's the upgrade
online.
level? Only armor level 1 for his rails, as opposed to Ian, who has...
Authenticate.
Is that level? Yeah, that's only level 1 as well. Level 1, but he does have damage upgrade
Railgun
on the
operational.
rails, so
Hostile light attack vehicle visually
still need to be
authentic.
careful of that.
On our way. Hostile strike craft down.
Both players really only working off 2
Enemy railgun eliminated.
We have
2
eyes on
Rex
an
currently.
artifact. Stand by.
Only 1 salvager heading off that 3rd currently for Coercer.
Vehicle authentic.
Quite a fight in mid though, and that missile ship finishing off one of those AEVs, and leaving the other 2 on very low health, so they're going to go down. This really does seem like a perfect time for a large number of skimmers.
Artifact recovered.
There are quite a
Authentication
few LAVs here for Ian,
Artifact position locked
and
in.
it looks like they're aiming to take out that scanner at the moment.
Bearing designated.
So
Support
I
cruiser
really
under
can't
attack.
see any
Immediate fire
reason
report on that position.
for... Yeah, Coercer just build a large number of skimmers, get some basic upgrades on them, and punish... Oh, that's potentially going to be very painful. But the LEDs already have a target, so you just missed their opportunity to put damage on those intercepts. They could have potentially shot those down flying over there. Meanwhile, missile battery shifting over to try and assist, but they are going to be too late. That support cruiser is gone. Yeah. So as far as I'm concerned, right now, if Coercer was to just pump out as many skimmers as he can afford, and maybe put an upgrade or 2 on them, and then just charge in here, he potentially has the ability to just crush Ian. But Ian now producing a massive wave of units. No one can say that, that Ian doesn't put his resource to good use, even though he's still got a little bit of a float. Nothing like what Coercer is sat on top of. So yeah, Coercer just really needing to take advantage of all these resources, really get more units on the field and take advantage. Just, he's missing out on his opportunity to really punish Ian simply by lack of units on the field. A couple of assault ships here perfectly placed to prevent this backstab. So they should be able to clean this up quite nicely, or at least punish most of these,
Hostile forces are
so these
attempting to
LAVs
extract
just
an artifact.
gradually being picked off before they can really do any damage. And the last one about to go down.
Get us underway. Alert.
Some
Railgun
really
lost. New sector
good
armored
trades here
vehicles
for
raging
us right now, but just complete lack
Railgun
of
reading you.
units to back up this carrier right now.
Copy. Ordnance set. New heading
This
set.
carrier is quite a dangerous position up against how many? That is 10 railguns. They are going to mete out an enormous amount of damage in the short time. That down to half health already. You know, Coercer is at risk of losing this match because he does not have the forces there to cover his carrier, and there's no excuse for it. He has more than enough resources to just pump out units and really just match or overmatch Ian right now.
Armor is en route.
Ian has power 2 for his carrier, and he has 3 artifacts to back that up.
Construction resources exhausted.
Meanwhile,
Team en route to recover the artifact.
looking at that,
Hostile forces
probably
have recovered an artifact.
what's that going to be? At least power 3 or 4? Power 4?
We're up and running.
Railgun online. Armored assault
3 by default,
modifications
so
carried out.
yeah, power
Hostile
4 at the very
detected.
least here for
Visual
Coercer.
Displace to that CU field.
But just no units to really
Railgun
back it up and
operational.
safely use it. He's building a couple of heavy rails, but I do feel like right now, against what he's fighting, he wants to have some skimmers in there as well. Or at least another production cruiser would be good at this point. He's only running 2.
Salvager online.
Red alert. Command carrier taking fire. Steady. Maintain power up. Unknown inbound. Designating hostile. We got a railgun under fire.
Bit of a fight opening up here.
Railgun opened up.
It's a real shame that Coercer in no position to really take advantage of this high ground, and I'm guessing at this point, yes, we've got armor 2 now on these rails, which is giving them that extra bit of health. Coercer really should be taking advantage of this ridge to try and punish these rails.
New sector dead. Armor vehicles
I would have thought it would be a clue to him to spam some skimmers to punish this kind of blob. There's very little cover. As long as he's able to dodge the mortars off these 2 missile batteries, he can get in there and do immense damage. And there's just another
Coordinates confirmed.
blob of railguns waiting over here as well. So I really would like to see these resources put to some use. Not that Ian isn't floating. Holy moly.
Armor systems active.
I suppose they're just so focused on what's actually going on out in the field right now. Just not got time to consider what to do with their resources. Coercer, though, still managing to put out a steady flow of additional heavy railguns. Getting some base runners, so he's trying to pick up some more artifacts for himself. Ian
Base
only
runners
needs one more though at this point,
Secure
so
the artifact or fail your people.
the pressure is really on here for Coercer. He needs to get his forces together and needs to win a fight here. Right now though, Ian is running 2 large groups of railguns.
Railgun is taking effective fire. Enemy railgun firing on friendly. Tracking armored craft on approach. Time to move out. Engage hostile.
Ian going up to power level 4. I wouldn't be surprised if Coercer trying to go up to power level 5. If that happens, then we may see one of these rail blobs wiped out quite quickly by the sonic missile battery or sonic missile barrage.
Green line confirmed.
But these railguns taking a hell of a lot of damage off that carrier.
Alert. Support craft has been engaged.
Ian going for that artifact. It's already been picked up by Coercer.
Railgun down. Coordinates confirmed. Punch it.
And the Gibson carrier finishes that one off.
Support craft.
Meanwhile,
Be advised. Hostile forces
yeah,
dropped an
so
artifact.
Ian taking a convincing fight up there. And Coercer's Air Force can be shut down. This is looking very precarious.
Weapon systems are at maximum.
Coercer's
Weaponry
carrier is still
systems
taking
are
fire from
Artifact
the
position authenticated.
railguns down here, but Ian's a bit overextended himself. He's building more railguns, but they're going to just come out in front of that Gaussian carrier. Gaussian carrier isn't firing its point defense systems currently. They are
Proceed to rally
appear to
point.
have turned themselves off.
Location marked. Armor power reading at maximum.
They are not firing.
Get moving. Alert. Railgun lost.
Oh,
Alert.
just
Carrier
started firing
hull at
again.
50% integrity.
Yep, they are firing again now. That was very strange. But Coerced Carrier getting very low here.
Hostile
He needs
forces are
to
attempting
regen,
to
but
extract an artifact.
might be too little too late for him to get out of sight range.
Waiting for eyes on to authenticate. Ahead full.
Looks like it's just broken contact, so not quite out yet.
Confirmed.
And
Move through this hot zone.
in the meantime, up against these two heavy rails just out of range and not contributing to the fight.
Energy signature confirmed. An artifact has been discovered.
Armor vehicle taking effective fire. On the way.
Again, just the sheer numbers that
Armored
Ian's
vehicle
put out.
lost. We got a railgun under fire.
Railgun's down there.
Be advised.
What
Team
resource
en
do we?
route to recover the
Coerce is
artifact.
still sat on over 3,000 CUs, and in the meantime, picking up that last artifact right now.
RU coordinates acquired. Moving to site.
Again, I would have liked to have seen a third production cruiser here from Coerce to increase his unit output so he can put those resources to use, either producing more railguns or more skimmers. It just feels like it might be a little bit too little too late. There's been no AAVs for a while. I think a skimmer blob could have quite easily punished this.
Listen up.
In the meantime,
Enemy railgun firing
still no
on
Power
friendly.
5 thankfully from Ian, otherwise I think that would have completely closed out the game by now. Gaussian Carrier though, I think he's just waiting for it to regen. I think dropping all the power from all the systems, putting it all into regen to get health back, and then everything into mobility would have been
Hostile light attack vehicle detected.
the way to go. However,
Enemy
I
production
think
cruisers appeared in the
it
AO.
will be
Enemy
too late
contacts
now.
on the board.
Ian's just putting himself in
Multiple
position to
missile
blockade over
signatures
here.
detected. Missile barrage in the air.
Does not care.
Send message. Reposition.
Oh my.
Alert. Railgun down. The railgun is taking effective fire. Strike rate
That's
taking effective
Ian's
fire.
rail blob. Completely devastated. So Coerce now just needs to push on. He needs to find and eliminate that base runner before he drops off to get himself back in this.
Armored vehicle is taking fire.
Got some that have gone off elsewhere. Trying to get him down here.
Deflection set. Fire alert. Support taking hostile fire. Get out here.
Mortar comes down, doesn't kill anything, so these skimmers roll up, but I don't think they're going to be able to get through. No, there's no way they're going to kill that in time. And that's game. Coerce are turning around in the last second, but
Artifact
it's late.
recovered. Authentication.
Oh no.
Forces are retreating. Hold position and await further orders. Excellent.
Gotta go fast. Or in this case, gotta go faster. Just too passive play there from Coerce. I think if he'd had more invested in units off the bat, if he'd had the extra production cruiser there, you know, he had the means, but he was just too busy faffing about with his carrier, I think, before that. Just too little, too late. Real shame there. And Ian takes it. Ian is BBI Ian, showing that Blackbird Interactive know how to play their own game. Just winning Artifact Cup 26. So, congratulations to Ian. Solid plays all round, but again, I have concerns about the openers on some of them. And again, there was a lot of RU float early on, but still solid plays all round, and just coming out dominant against some very good players. So, yeah, well played. GG's all, and well done on winning Artifact Cup 26 BBI Ian. So, yep, thank you all for watching. My apologies for having to listen through me being ill. See, I say that, Hyper, because you get a lot of devs who, they build their game, but they build it behind one specific line of logic. And then it actually goes out into the wild, and people get hold of it, and they just find better ways of playing their game. They find those values that weren't necessarily looked at properly by the dev team, and abuse them. You know, you, especially in RTS, you build a line of logic in the way you develop the game, and there are always those things you don't consider or look at properly which slip through the net. So yeah. And in a lot of cases, some people are better at making games than they are at playing them. It comes with the nature of how much time and effort goes into making a game as well. So, something else to consider. So yeah. GG's, well played all. My apologies, I haven't cast the entirety of Artifact Cup 26. I'm just not quite healthy enough to pull it off, but there is something at least. You can enjoy a dash of salt, okay? For now, I'm just going to go back through this cast and make sure it's not absolutely terrible to listen to on account of my coughing. And if it's all clear, I will see about getting it transferred over to YouTube for everyone to enjoy in their own time. So for now, thank you very much for watching, and take care.